You're listening to episode 6 of the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast with psychotherapist and crochet designer turned crochet biz coach and your biggest cheerleader, Pam Grice. Hello there, crochet CEOs. Welcome to the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast. I'm Pam Grice, and I'm here to help you turn yarn into money with therapy for your crochet business. Today, we're going to be talking about how to price crochet patterns. Recently, I had the pleasure of being a part of the Handmade Business Summit, and we had a live Q&A session with hundreds of crochet business owners. It was so great. You guys, I hope you were able to catch it. But if not, I wanted to answer today the one question that kept coming up from crochet designers. And that question is, how do I price my patterns? You guys, this is such a complex question. It could be as simple as saying, how much do other people charge? Okay, I'll charge that. So if that's the way you want to do it, great, you can do it that way. What I want to encourage you to do, at least once, is to track the actual cost and value of a crochet pattern based on how much time and how much expense you put into designing that pattern. I would venture to guess that very few beginner crochet designers actually sit down and do this process. So I wanted to walk you through how to do that and what pieces are important to look at, how to value your crochet pattern so that you know how many patterns you need to sell in order to actually recoup your investment of time and money into creating that pattern. So let's take a look. The first thing we would look at is those kind of quantifiables, like what can I actually track to figure out how much this crochet pattern would cost. When I do that, I take a look at how much time did it take for me to design and make this product? How long did it take to write the pattern? How long did it take for me to arrange a photography session, take the photographs, edit the pattern, working with pattern testers, so that can be a long process back and forth with pattern testers and such, writing a blog post, uploading the pattern to whatever places you're selling it on, either on Etsy or Ravelry or somewhere else, and marketing. So those are kind of the activities that take place from start to finish of creating a crochet pattern. As I'm considering how much to charge for my crochet pattern, I take a look at all of those things. And so I've just taken a moment to write down for a very basic pattern. So, I create patterns for crochet sellers, so they're usually quick to make. And so it's not one of those projects that would take hours and hours and hours. So as I went through all of this process, I came out with 18 hours is usually what it takes for me to think of a design, go through the entire process, and get to the uploading and marketing step. So 18 hours. So how much would I charge myself for that? A lot depends on how much you want to charge for that. For me, I charge $12 an hour just to get a concept of what this pattern is worth. So for 18 hours at $12 an hour, that comes to $216. I could say, great, I'll charge my normal $5 a pattern and I'll only have to sell 40 patterns and I'm golden, right? Well, not so fast. So there are other things that we need to take into account that we can also quantify. That doesn't entail time, but it entails expense. Some of those things would be tech editing fees, photography fees, fees that you might pay your models, fees that you might pay your pattern testers, shipping fees back and forth from pattern testers if you're going to send them yarn or if they'll send you the finished product for photography purposes, and then also the cost of the yarn. So we didn't think of that. If you didn't get yarn support and you didn't get your yarn for free, you need to consider the cost of that in the actual cost of creating this pattern. So I did this for my hypothetical pattern in my head. and I came out with a cost of a total $301. Now, again, we might think we're done, right? Well, we're not done. The next thing we need to take into account is marketplace and credit card processing fees. Anytime we sell online, both the marketplace that we use, such as Ravelry or Etsy or Craftsy or Lovecrafts, any of those places will take their cut, right? So they'll take a chunk of money, and then also the credit card processing company, whether you're using PayPal or Stripe or something else, they're going to take a credit card processing fee. It's difficult to calculate what that fee will be based on you don't know how many you're going to sell. So what I do is I take the price that I've gotten to so far and I add on a 10% bump to that to account for marketplace fees. So I would take the number and multiply it by 1.10. So now I came up with $330 roughly. And then we need to take into account, I'm going to have to pay income taxes on all of this money that I'm going to make. So I also account for how much income tax I'm going to have to be paying on my sales so that I know that I still am going to get paid and I'll be able to pay my taxes. So that I account for 15%. I boost the price again. I multiply it by 1.15 to get the next boost. And now I'm at $379. I have to make at least $379 to pay for the cost of designing this product. And we're almost done. Hang in there with me. Finally, and this is kind of the most complex issue, is your business expenses. So all of us have expenses when we run a business. We have equipment like our computer, our phone, here I have my microphone, I have a laptop as a backup, I have my camera, I have my lighting. All of those pieces go into your business expenses and they have to be paid somehow, and they're paid by the sales that you make. So account for that and your website, any utilities that you pay that are for your business, advertising expenses, and then if like me, you're going into the realm of doing trade shows, you have booth fees, you have booth setup, you have marketing materials such as pamphlets, tablecloths, business cards, all of those things. So how in the world do you figure out how much to charge for your pattern when your business expenses are so complex? Well, what I do is I take a look at my overall expenses and I then divide that by 4 because I have a wide range of income streams for my business. So my pattern sales don't have to pay for all of those business expenses. I have ads on my website. I have product sales. I have course sales. I have all kinds of income streams. And so I divide my total expenses by 4, and that tells me, okay, this year my pattern sales have to pay for X amount of profit. And then I take that amount and I divide it by the number of patterns I intend to sell this year. So if this year I want to come out with 2 patterns per month, and I want my patterns to pay for $2,400 in expenses, then that means each pattern has to pay for $100 in expenses. So I know it's complex. I'm going to give you a cheat sheet in the show notes, so don't worry if you haven't written all of this down. So we're at another $100 added on to our total amount we need to make from our pattern sales in order to just cover our expenses for this pattern. Now we're at $479. Okay, so I know this product that I'm designing, I need to make $479 in order to have this pattern pay for itself and pay for my business to actually run. That means if I charge my normal kind of baseline pattern price of $5, I need to sell 96 patterns. It's not impossible. Don't freak out. We'll get you there. A couple of other things that we need to consider are we going to offer this for free on our blog and then sell it for even a lower price? For example, if I offer something for free on my blog, then I lower the price to like $3 for the digital PDF download because I'm making a little bit of money on the front end from advertising. So that helps to offset the cost of those PDF downloads. So I might do that. Or if it's a very, very simple pattern, I might charge $2 just for the pattern normally. For example, I just made those ear savers for when people are wearing face masks. Very simple pattern, $2, and there you go. But you might also consider, well, it doesn't feel like $5 is enough to charge for this pattern because it took me forever and I have a bunch of sizes and all of that. So what kind of things can you look into to say, well, maybe I need to boost up my baseline price? So again, for me, I have a baseline price of $5. I think that's kind of the average price that people charge for crochet patterns. But what might cause me to actually charge more than that? It could be that it's a very unique product and it's going to be highly sought after. In that case, I can increase the price. Also, if it took extraordinarily long, if this is a very complex pattern or a garment with several sizing changes or a lot of shaping, and it took a lot of time to figure out the math on that, I might charge more. I would check out prices of similar items to see kind of what's the going rate. I don't necessarily think you need to charge less than anybody else is charging, but I wouldn't charge exceptionally more than what the average is. Okay, so also sizing. If you have multiple sizes of your pattern, you can increase the price of that pattern by $1 or so. Or if you have a very popular brand, if you're a designer that's been out for a long time and your designs are very sought after, you get to charge for having a desirable brand. So that's something to shoot for if you're just starting out. But if you're someone who's known, you can charge more for your pattern. People will pay more for that pattern because you've spent the time to build up your business and build up your expertise. So those are some of the things to look at to decide, do I want to charge $2 for my pattern? Do I want to go with a baseline of $5? Or is this so complex that I can charge $10 for this pattern or $12 for this pattern? Ultimately, there's no set rule of how much you have to charge, but it's important, at least in the beginning, to take a look at what is it actually costing me to create this pattern. Again, for this hypothetical 1-hour hat pattern that we have designed in our heads, we need to make $479 just to come out even. So remember that as you're pricing your products, and then also as you're looking at other people and their pricing strategies. So often as designers, we get hate mail from people saying, you shouldn't be charging for this, you should give everything away for free, without any consideration of the fact that you've put in so much time and so much financial resources into just designing that one simple pattern. So recognize your worth, recognize that your talent has value, and be sure to charge what you deserve to receive and you need to make for that pattern. One last thing before we go. I had someone inside of the Crochetpreneur Business Academy who has a popular blog. She's a designer, and she was charging $2 for her patterns because she said, I'm giving them away for free on my blog and I'm charging $2, but nobody's buying them. So we said, let's do an experiment. Let's boost your prices up by $2 to $3 per pattern all the way around and put them back out. Don't change anything else, just boost the price. And you know what happened? Her sales took off because when people see a $2 pattern, they're thinking, this doesn't have much value. Like even the person who designed it doesn't think it has value. But when she increased the price, she's telling people this is valuable, this is desirable, and I value the time I put into it. And so I want you to value that time too. And people responded and her sales increased exponentially. So keep in mind, you don't always have to charge the lowest prices. You don't have to give everything away for free. You need to build a business. You need to own your worth, and you can do this. Now I know that was a lot. Is your brain exploding? I hope your brain's not exploding. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you. I'm going to put the checklist or walk you through this whole process in the show notes for this episode. You can go to crochetpreneur.com/6 and you can listen to this broadcast, you can read my notes, and you can get that checklist so that you can have all the information you need to appropriately price your patterns and own your worth. And you've got this. That's it for today. Be sure to get your printable handmade business binder when you go to crochetpreneur.com/binder. And never miss an episode when you subscribe to the Dear Crochetpreneur podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast listening platform. If you'd like your crochet business to be featured on an upcoming episode, be sure to go to crochetpreneur.com/questions and submit your question. I want to thank you for tuning in today. It means so much to me that you'd spend some time hanging out, and I can't wait to do it again next time. Until then, I'm cheering you on.